had a campus romance with Sterling Air. He was arrogant and difficult to handle, with a bad temper. Yet he was completely submissive to me, always yielding to my every whim. Until I dumped him, took his money, and disappeared. He hated me with a vengeance, breaking down to the point of nearly losing his life. 6 years later, we reunited. He had become a renowned race car driver. I was randomly assigned to interview him. I stiffly read from the script, "What was the reason for your breakup with your first love?" His eyes were red and wet, and he coldly glared at me. "I don't know." I also wanted to ask, why did she leave me? Reuniting with Logan, I was completely unprepared. The deafening roar of the cars shattered the quiet night. The lead black sports car shot past us like an arrow, speeding through the mountain roads in circles. Ethan handed me some documents and instructed, "These rich kids are out for a mountain training run. The one in the lead Ferrari is tonight's interview subject. You only have 10 minutes. Just follow the script and ask the questions. The host in charge of the interview has acute appendicitis. They called me in at the last minute to fill in. We have to wait out the mountain breeze in the middle of the night." I grew increasingly curious about his identity and flipped through the documents. When my eyes landed on that name, I froze. "Logan." Ethan continued excitedly. "You just returned to the country, so you might not recognize Logan. He's the FIA GT1 champion from last season, the founder of the SUI Supercar Club, and the heir to the Sterling Group." I remained silent. Actually, I knew him. 6 years ago, I dumped him. He hated me so much he nearly lost his life. Why isn't the one with acute appendicitis me tonight? I wanted to run, but it was too late. The black Ferrari sped past the finish line, then suddenly executed a sharp, aggressive drift, reverse direction, and accelerated toward me. The roar of the tires echoed, and the distance was extremely short. The blinding headlights shone directly at me, freezing me in place. My mind went blank, and my body went cold. Does he want to kill me? The tires screeched as the car skidded to a halt, less than a meter away from me. Ethan was terrified and ran over to ask if I was okay. My face was pale, and I shook my head. The group of rich kids behind him got out of the car and surrounded us. "Lo, you're playing so recklessly. You scared her." The car door opened. The culprit was dressed in black and red racing gear. He took off his helmet and tucked it under his arm, his forehead damp with sweat. Logan looked at me, his tone casual. "Sorry, I didn't notice anyone." He had changed. There was a new coldness in his eyes, as if he didn't want anyone to get close. Since I couldn't avoid him, I might as well be straightforward. I smiled. "Mr. Sterling, I'm Natalie, the host interviewing you tonight." Logan hummed in response, his tone dismissive. "What's wrong with your assistant? Why did she take such a messy program?" Logan wasn't very cooperative. What should have been a quick 10-minute job? He insisted on going back to the hotel to do the interview. He was afraid I'd get angry and quit. On the way, Ethan kept reassuring me. "Logan usually doesn't give interviews to outsiders. Our show is in luck. The ratings for this episode are guaranteed. Let's just bear with it. Business is business." When they arrived at the hotel, Ethan set up the filming equipment. After waiting for a while, Logan changed his clothes, and the interview began. The first few questions were about his career plans and his schedule for the second half of the year. Logan sat on the sofa with his legs crossed. He answered slowly and deliberately. Things were going smoothly. But soon the questions started to veer off course. Under his intense gaze, I stiffly read from the script. "There are rumors that you had a relationship in college, your first love. Would you be willing to share the reason for the breakup?" Logan didn't answer or say a word. He stared into my eyes. After a long pause, his eyes gradually turned red, and he coldly glared at me. "I don't know. I also want to ask why she didn't want me anymore." There were more personal questions about his feelings on the script, but I couldn't bring myself to ask. The interview couldn't continue. "Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Sterling. I don't have any more questions." I stood up and left. Ethan looked disappointed and kept muttering all the way to the parking lot. He didn't stop you. Why didn't you keep asking? I said, I didn't dare to ask such detailed questions. Rich kids like him usually have bad tempers. Logan does have a bad temper. Back in school, he was arrogant and unruly, with all the traits of a spoiled rich kid. But he was the only one who would soften up and act spoiled around me, always doing whatever I wanted. Everyone around us said he was a love-struck fool, beyond hope. Just as we got into the car, Ethan suddenly received a call from the hotel saying there was a voice recorder left in the room. I didn't want to go get it. I felt like Logan did it on purpose. But Ethan was exhausted from carrying the equipment, so I had to go myself. The room was dark with no lights on. Logan sat on the sofa, playing with the voice recorder expressionlessly. Don't you want to catch up? I'm in a hurry. Next time. I snatched the recorder from his hand and hurried to leave. Logan suddenly stood up and grabbed my wrist. You dare come back? Those dark eyes were filled with hatred. He hates me. I expected it. After all, our breakup was brutal. 6 years ago, I used the blackmail material I had on Logan to extort a large sum of money from the Sterling family. On the night I was preparing to flee the country. Despite being ill, he somehow found out and came looking for me. He was then pinned down by a dozen bodyguards who had been sent after him. Babe, what did I do wrong? Tell me, and I'll change. You idiot, don't you know to think long-term? $2 million, you're letting me go? That's not worth it. He begged me not to leave. But I didn't even glance at him. I let his voice grow hoarse as he begged pitifully. From start to finish, I remained unmoved. The car slowly drove away, and Logan finally gave up. His eyes were red and swollen, as if he could eat someone. He shouted hoarsely, "You better never come back. Don't let me find you. Otherwise, I'll kill you." The past was too painful. I had nothing to say. The pressure on my wrist grew tighter. Logan clenched his teeth, his voice cold. You disappeared for 6 years. I searched for you for 6 years, 6 years. Natalie, how dare you come back? Why shouldn't I? I came back with my boyfriend. I wasn't afraid at all. I met his gaze and smiled as if nothing had happened. You have a boyfriend? He stared at me, his voice suddenly softening. Yes, I met him abroad. Julian C. Julian. After a pause, I added, he's very generous to me. A deathly silence followed. Logan let go of my wrist. He was angry. He turned away and forced out a single word from his throat, "Get out." It seemed like even looking at me one more time would be unbearable. This interview was mediocre. I didn't get much out of him. Linda was discharged from the hospital, looking pale. But since I was new to the company, she thought I was too timid to ask questions and didn't blame me. That evening after work, Julian came to pick me up. He had just returned from abroad and was looking to make friends and build connections. He said there was a drinking party and needed me to accompany him. It wasn't a lie or a scam. Julian and I were indeed in a romantic relationship. But it was different in nature, more like a partnership. I was after the money, and he was after the fame. It was all for show, with no real connection. The people in the private room were all from the circle of wealthy second-generation elites. They greeted me with terms like sister-in-law and little sister. Amid the noise, someone asked, "Where's Lo?" I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, Logan arrived late. He pushed open the door and walked in. His sharp gaze landed on Julian and me. He lingered for a few seconds before quickly looking away. After sitting down, a group of people enthusiastically toasted him and chatted with him. Logan remained expressionless, surrounded by the crowd. His fingertips held a burning cigarette as he downed one glass after another. The man who once didn't touch tobacco or alcohol now seemed so at ease. I watched in silence. Lo's tattoo isn't clean, someone remarked. Someone noticed the inner side of Logan's right wrist. There was a butterfly tattoo there. The red lines had faded and blurred. The people around him laughed suggestively and chimed in. It's obviously a tattoo for a girl. I bet Lo loves her and hates her, so he can't bring himself to wash it off. Which girl? We're the ones who met Lo later, so we haven't heard of her. Logan lazily raised his eyes. I can't remember anymore. I washed it off twice, but it was too much trouble, so I left it for now. He glanced at me, who was busy eating the fruit platter. His voice was cold. When I have time, I'll get a big turtle tattooed over it. I choked on a piece of watermelon and coughed violently. Julian hurriedly patted my back to help me breathe. Logan remained expressionless, leaning over to hand me a bottle of water. Drink up, Miss Dawson. Don't choke to death. You're so mean. Julian raised an eyebrow. Do you two know each other? After downing half the bottle of water, I finally caught my breath. I interviewed Mr. Sterling a few days ago. The others who were running on the mountain that night were also there, and upon hearing this, there was another burst of laughter. They insisted they didn't recognize me and wanted to punish themselves by drinking. Julian said, "That's quite a coincidence." Logan Sterling, my Nat's business skills aren't too shabby, are they? I know her. She randomly approached me on the street for an interview. Logan clenched his wine glass tightly, smirking without a word. After a few rounds of drinks, the conversation turned serious. Julian began to test the waters with Logan about business. Most of their family's businesses were overseas, and they had just returned, so they couldn't afford to miss out on collaborating with the Sia family. The others chimed in, teasing Julian that he was really going all out this time. Julian laughed and said, "This is nothing. If it means securing a partnership with the Sia family, I'll do anything." Logan also laughed. But his smile didn't reach his eyes, and it felt cold. He extinguished the ember on his fingertip and exhaled a puff of smoke. He turned his face toward me and stared deeply. "Your girlfriend is beautiful. What if I asked you to break up with her?" Logan Sterling was drunk. Julian didn't take it seriously, thinking Logan was just joking around. Logan narrowed his eyes, leaned back on the sofa, lit another cigarette, and spoke in a calm tone, "I'm perfectly sober." Julian froze for a moment, suppressing his smile. His expression darkened instantly. The two of them stared at each other, the atmosphere growing tense. The previously lively atmosphere suddenly turned cold. No one dared to speak. "Mr. Sterling, please stop joking around. My boyfriend and I are very much in love. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. You two continue discussing business. Have a good chat." A deathly silence fell. I couldn't sit still anymore, stood up, and prepared to leave. Julian noticed the unusual tension between us. He stood up in a show of dominance, wrapped his arm around my waist, and said he'd walk me out. Seeing our intimate posture, Logan suddenly lost his temper. He flung his cigarette to the ground. His sharp eyebrows bristled with unhidden hostility, his emotions seemingly at their boiling point. Before anyone could react, he punched Julian hard in the face. "Let go! Don't touch her!" Julian stumbled back, his lip bleeding instantly. Logan's face darkened as he clenched his fist, ready to strike again. Everyone rushed to stop him. The scene descended into chaos. I stood in front of Julian, furrowing my brows, my voice icy. "Are you crazy? What gives you the right to hit someone?" Logan calmed down slightly, shouting at everyone else to get out. Then he pointed at Julian. Panting, his chest rising and falling violently. "You're protecting him, aren't you? What kind of mind-altering drug did he give you? Do you know he's just a scumbag who uses you as a substitute? You're just a fool. Julian is a womanizer with a string of scandals. He's only with you because you look like his ex-girlfriend. He's using you as a substitute, as a tool to provoke someone else to come back." Julian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sneered. "What's between us is none of your business. Who are you to lecture me?" The last remnants of my rationality were shattered by those words. Logan's eyes turned red with rage, and his anger began to boil. "None of your business? I've been looking for her for 6 years, and you tell me what I am to her?" He grabbed Julian by the collar, his veins bulging on his knuckles, and punched him again. "But she's my girlfriend now." Julian was also enraged and started fighting back. The two of them were in a fierce struggle. I just wanted to end this farce quickly. Enough, Logan. You don't need to take my side. I'm happy to do it, so just stay out of it, okay? In an instant, all of Logan's anger vanished. He stiffly turned his head, staring blankly at me. Julian took the opportunity to punch him, not forgetting to mock him, "Mind your own business." His right hand was wearing a ring. The punch tore open Logan's eyebrow. Blood trickled down his eyelid, spreading into a vivid red stain. Logan seemed oblivious to the pain. His face pale, he blinked slowly and asked me, "Do you really like him that much?" I didn't answer. I grabbed Julian and dragged him away. The door slammed shut. Pain and tears spread across his eyes, and Logan felt like laughing. Laughing at himself for being so stupid. Blood was still flowing from his eyebrow. But he didn't care. He lowered his head and touched the butterfly tattoo on his wrist, muttering to himself, "Logan, you deserve it. You're the fool." As he spoke, his eyes grew hot and his voice choked up. When I came back with the bag and pushed the door open again, Logan was slumped on the sofa, his palms covering his eyes, tears seeping through his fingers. I approached silently and tended to his wound. 2 minutes later, the bleeding had stopped. But Logan's tears kept flowing. They fell in big drops onto my heart. "You said you'd never abandon me. You're a liar." Something was shattering inside me. I bit my pale lips and whispered, "Yes, I lied to you. I was cruel to you. Don't think about me anymore." When we were dating, Logan once stood in line to buy me milk tea. I was waiting by the roadside when I saw an old man carrying a bamboo basket of jasmine flowers at the street corner. At the time, jasmine bracelets were all the rage online. I wanted to wear one with Logan. Without telling him, I hurried after the old man, who was already out of sight. When I returned, I saw him standing in the crowd, searching frantically. He looked anxious and desperate. I rushed over to him. Logan pulled me into his arms, looking so upset. "Babe, where did you go? I couldn't find you, and you didn't answer your phone. I thought you left me." He was very clingy and lacked a sense of security. He was always overthinking things, afraid that one day I would grow tired of him and leave him. His friends teased him, calling him a top-tier romantic with a severe case of love brain. I tiptoed up to kiss his lips, soothing him, "I'm sorry, my phone was on silent by habit. I didn't leave you behind." Logan bent down, his dark eyes filled with love. He lowered his head to rest against my forehead, his breath hot. He made me promise. I smiled helplessly, wrapping my fingers around his and saying seriously, "I promise, I'll never leave Logan behind." Logan finally seemed satisfied. He buried his face in the crook of my neck, his arms tightening around me. The wind blew, carrying his scent to my nose. Our hearts beat wildly in unison. At that moment, it was I who made that solemn promise. Later, it was I who broke it. Julian was still waiting for me. I left the club and got into the car. The city was shrouded in rain and mist, and the car weaved through the blurry neon lights. We drove in silence. As we approached my residence, he finally couldn't hold back. "Your relationship with Logan isn't ordinary, is it? It's none of your business. Don't forget, we don't interfere in each other's lives." He persisted, continuing to probe, "You still care about him. Otherwise, why did you go to the pharmacy to buy medicine and tend to his wounds?" Julian raised his hand to touch his swollen face and made a dismissive sound. He really hit me hard. "Our partnership is definitely over. I got beaten up, and you don't even care about me. Are you just going to abandon me like this?" "I don't care about you, and I have no obligation to." In front of him, I was always cold and indifferent. As soon as I finished speaking, Julian turned a corner and stopped the car. He stared at me and said out of the blue, "You can't control me, or you don't want to? What's the difference?" "There's a big difference." He showed a hint of stubbornness. Hearing this, I curled my lips into a mocking smile. "You wouldn't be playing for real, would you? You've fallen for me. What about your ex-girlfriend? She'll be heartbroken." After a moment of silence, Julian started the car again. You're overthinking it. You've been so cold to me, and I'm not a dog, so how could I possibly have feelings for you? Natalie, you made a deal with me, not for the money. You care about Logan, yet you insist on making him suffer until he gives up. I can't figure you out, and I have no idea what you're really after. I didn't say anything. I turned my head to look out the window, the broken light in my eyes flickering on and off. It's okay. Sadness is only temporary. Because I am destined to die. And after I die, Logan will have all memories of me erased. In the third year of my relationship with Logan, it was graduation season. My roommates were either busy with their theses or submitting resumes. But I had no time for any of that. Because a mechanical voice suddenly appeared in my head. It said I was the female supporting character in a book. According to the original plot, years later, I would become the stand-in lover for the male lead, Julian. Julian would marry me on purpose to force his ex-girlfriend, whom he was obsessed with, to come back. As he wished. That day, the female lead arrived. The male lead left me to chase after his true love. I then went after the male lead but accidentally died in a car accident, becoming a thorn between the two of them. How absurd. My existence is nothing but that of a disposable pawn. I refuse to believe it, so it goes out of its way to make me believe it. The system's cold, mechanical voice sounded slightly confused. Logan is the male lead from another book, you two were never meant to cross paths. I can't find where the error occurred. However, as punishment, Logan, who intruded into this book, will die, and each time will be more painful than the last. Even though he is the male lead of another book, he is no exception. After he dies, everything resets, and this is already the 11th time. At the same time, a flood of memories poured in. I saw the previous 10 times. The first time. Logan was smiling at me just a moment ago, saying that the new dessert shop across the street had delicious mousse cake. He crossed the street to buy some. The next moment, he was dragged under a runaway truck and died instantly. The second time. A mentally ill person charged at us with a knife. He shielded me, blocking the attacker with his body, and was stabbed over a dozen times. He bled to death after 2 hours of emergency treatment. The third time, the fourth time. Each time was more painful than the last, dying before my eyes. The 10th time. At that time, we had been together for 6 years. Both sets of parents had met and were satisfied with each other. Logan was 25 years old, in the prime of his life. He was participating in a car racing competition abroad. After easily winning the championship, he suddenly pulled out a diamond ring and proposed to me in front of the global live broadcast camera. Natalie, wait for me to come back and marry me. He curved his lips into a smile, laughing freely. On the other side of the phone screen, I was enveloped in sweet happiness, silently nodding with tears streaming down my face. I had prepared myself to be his bride. But Logan broke his promise. He fell ill. His body wasted away rapidly. His organs began to fail, but no specific cause could be identified. He couldn't eat anything and could only survive on intravenous fluids. He suffered terribly, becoming emaciated and terrifying to look at. His face was pale and bloodless. At his worst, he coughed up blood in large quantities, with tubes his body, too weak to do anything but give me a faint smile. The day he left, it was snowing outside. Logan, who had been unconscious for a long time, suddenly woke up. In a voice so soft it was barely audible, he asked me if he looked ugly now. I cried so hard I couldn't speak, shaking my head frantically. Don't cry. Logan bent his fingers and scratched my palm, his touch as gentle as a kitten's. We met on a snowy day. He wanted to touch the snow. I rushed outside and rolled a snowball. I pushed open the door and returned. The snowball hit the ground and shattered into pieces. Logan, lying on the hospital bed, had closed his eyes and stopped breathing. The system's voice continued to sound. It said it had enough energy to keep going. It warned me that I must return to the main storyline immediately. If I insisted on deviating from it and staying with Logan, the cycle would never end. But this time would be different. Logan's soul would be completely erased. Even if I reloaded the game 1,000 times, he would never come back. How cruel fate was to me. No matter how fiercely I resisted, I couldn't escape the predetermined outcome written in the book. My mind was in chaos, filled with images of Logan dying before my eyes. Scene after scene, almost driving me mad. The thought of Logan no longer existing in this world. My heart felt like it was being sliced apart by a sharp knife. Blood poured out, the pain unbearable. I hid away, crying so hard I was shaking all over. After dawn, I wiped away my tears and asked the system a question. How did Logan's female lead treat him? The system replied. Calculating the time, shortly after my death, Logan would meet his female lead. She was lively, cheerful, like a little son. They had a deep connection. In the end, they had 2 adorable children. I listened silently, tears falling in big drops. How wonderful. Perfectly perfect. Then I could rest easy. This time, I would compromise. I would let Logan live a good life. And I would follow the plot and die. So, using the blackmail material on Logan as an excuse, I demanded money from the Sterling family. I severed all ties with Logan in the most extreme and vicious way possible. Julian called to propose marriage. To force his beloved back, I refused to register the marriage, insisting on just a ceremony. He told me to think it over. I didn't think much about it and agreed readily. As life began its countdown, I thought I'd be afraid or sad. But strangely, I felt nothing. I just wanted to make the most of the time and finish the work in my hands. Until one day, I returned to my alma mater for an interview. After it ended, I walked alone through the familiar campus, and a suffocating sensation like drowning suddenly overwhelmed me. This place held too many beautiful memories. Logan came from a prominent family, was arrogant and self-centered, and was also a handsome guy. During university, many people had their eyes on him. He had a bad temper and little patience. He always had a stern expression and rarely showed any kindness to others. Yet, he was unusually well-behaved around me. In his eyes, I was perfect in every way, and everything I said was right. Our first encounter was on a snowy winter night. It was the first snowfall of the year. It was snowing heavily. My roommate and I were thrilled and, despite the cold, ran around the playground having a snowball fight. Then I accidentally hit someone on the head with a snowball. Logan turned around with a dark expression, ready to scold me. But when he saw me coming over to apologize, he stopped himself. From that day on, he started pursuing me. Despite having a face that seemed to attract trouble, he was as pure as could be. He even secretly got a butterfly tattoo. After we started dating, I asked him why he liked me. Logan kept his hands in his pockets, his lips curled up. He paused for a few seconds before avoiding my question. That day, when I turned around, I saw you wrapped in a scarf, your nose tipped frozen red, and suddenly I couldn't bring myself to scold you. I accused him of being attracted to me. Logan chuckled softly. He leaned in and pressed his lips against mine. Then I'll only be attracted to you. Memories flooded back. I was so sad my heart ached, and I couldn't breathe. Maybe I should just go crazy. Thinking that, I did just that. It was pitch black, and it started raining again. I sat on the steps of a convenience store near the school gate, hugging a bottle of alcohol and drinking until I was completely drunk. After some time, a car pulled up by the roadside. The door opened. A man holding a black umbrella stepped over the shallow puddles on the ground and walked straight to me. He crouched down and held the umbrella over my head. I tilted my face slightly upward and saw his face clearly. His eyebrows were sharp like blades, and his nose was high and straight. It was Logan. He stared at me for a moment, then picked me up and stuffed me into the car. We arrived at his place. Logan moved gently, feeding me some hangover medicine. Julian was a flirt and a slut, using you as a substitute. I'm more loyal than him, richer than him, choosing me over him was a huge mistake. He sat on the bed, pinching my flushed cheeks as if punishing me, talking to himself. He kept going on, one sentence after another. His eyes were filled with vulnerability and sorrow. What dirt do you have on me? Are you too cowardly to watch horror movies? Or are you a picky eater who doesn't like vegetables? Little liar, why did you abandon me? I was drunk out of my mind. My rationality had been completely consumed by alcohol. I thought I was back to when we were dating years ago, opening my eyes and demanding to touch his abs. Logan obediently lifted his shirt. Let me touch and squeeze him. His voice was soft beyond belief. Babe, you have no idea how much I miss you. The intimate nickname from 6 years ago echoed in my ears. My chaotic thoughts were suddenly shattered. My hand froze. Reason returned. Actually, I could have chosen to give in to the drunkenness and let myself go. Hold him tightly, kiss him without restraint. But I couldn't. I was afraid of giving Logan any hope. Even the slightest bit. If I was going to make him give up, I had to do it completely. Leave no room for doubt. So, I reached out and wrapped my arms around his neck, pretending to kiss him. Then I whispered another man's name. The temperature dropped instantly. Logan held me tightly, preventing me from getting closer. His eyelashes trembled slightly as he asked with difficulty, "Who am I?" "Julian." "And what about Logan?" he asked again. "I don't care about him." After a long silence, Logan slowly stood up. The sharp black eyes in his gaze gradually lost their light. Only the embers of death remained. His eyes were bloodshot and terrifying as he said, "I hate you." Then he slammed the door shut. I pretended to be awake. I got up to leave. The night was silent. The neon lights from nearby buildings shone on the wide, open balcony. Logan leaned on the railing. The inner side of his exposed wrist was tattooed with a butterfly. Light and shadow intertwined as moths fluttered through the air. A cold, desolate wind mingled with grayish smoke, slowly rising into the sky. The elegant man tilted his face upward, clenching a cigarette between his teeth. It was like a scene from a somber art house film. His eyebrows betrayed his exhaustion. "Natalie, I have my pride too. I'm so tired. I can't hold on much longer. 6 years of my life, filled with hatred. But at the same time, my love has grown deeper and deeper." Logan's breathing grew, and he clenched his teeth, revealing his final card. "If you walk out that door today, I won't love you anymore." His vision began to blur. It was the answer I wanted to hear. But my eyes betrayed me, turning red. I bit my lower lip and clenched my fingertips tightly into my palms. My emotions reached their breaking point. After a few seconds of silence, I casually uttered the final words that sealed his fate. "This is for the best." As I opened the door and left, I heard Logan's hysterical screams echoing behind me. "Remember this. I really don't want you anymore." I didn't look back. At the charity gala, the air was filled with the scent of perfume and the sound of laughter. Business tycoons and famous celebrities gathered together. Julian announced that we were getting married. Everyone smiled and congratulated us. Only Logan stood in the corner, his eyes cold and expressionless. I maintained a polite smile, held Julian's hand, and raised my glass to him in a toast. The wedding was meticulously planned by a professional team, from the hotel selection and guest list to the type of flowers on the tables. After finishing my work, I handed over my duties and resigned. Once again, I prepared myself to be a bride. Everything was proceeding smoothly. Julian came to see me try on my wedding dress and joked, "If she doesn't come, marrying you wouldn't be so bad." I scoffed. "You have the life to marry her, but I don't have the life to marry you." Time was ticking away. As the wedding approached, Zhang's company in China suddenly faced a crisis. Several competitors joined forces to maliciously suppress Zhang's company, aiming to push it out of the market. Julian was overwhelmed with work, and the wedding had to be postponed temporarily. Others assumed that Zhang's company was in chaos. This marriage was probably doomed. I still occasionally went to try on wedding dresses. One day, I ran into Logan, who was custom making a suit at a store. He walked over, glanced at the high-end wedding dress being carefully held by 2 store clerks, and his gaze was as cold as ice, cutting into me. "Still dreaming of marrying Julian? You heartless woman, playing with me like this, I'll make you pay the price." He didn't hesitate to reveal that the malicious attacks on the Jiang family were his doing. If you want to marry him, I'll make sure you don't get your way. Logan emphasized that he could take it or leave it. If he doesn't love me, he doesn't love me, he just doesn't want me to be happy. I pleaded with him, begging for mercy, please spare me. He sneered, I can't. This fool. He didn't know that all the characters in the book were following the plot. So even if unexpected circumstances arose, the main plot will still unfold in an unstoppable manner. Sure enough. Soon, the crisis at the Jiang family was resolved. Everything returned to normal. The timeline eventually reached the day of the wedding. The wedding dress was beautiful, with a white train trailing behind it, creating beautiful arcs as I walked. 3 makeup artists were busy preparing me. Just as the makeup was finished, an unfamiliar number called. I answered, and Logan's cold voice rang out. Don't think you'll get your wish today. I'll have to disappoint you again, the real groom is on his way to steal the wedding. He even cruelly made me guess who Julian would choose. I didn't respond, my mind fixated on another thought. After hesitating for a few seconds, I couldn't help but speak up. Logan, can you come hug me before the ceremony begins? It's the last moment. A hug isn't too much to ask, is it? The breathing on the other end of the phone suddenly froze, out of rhythm. Realizing what I'd said, Logan snapped. What do you think I am? Do you really think I wouldn't hurt you? Hugging your ex on your wedding day? You're really playing hard to get, aren't you? He thought I was teasing him. I couldn't take it anymore and ended the call. I sniffled, feeling a bit wronged. I wasn't teasing him. I just suddenly missed the warmth of his embrace. The ceremony began. Perhaps with Logan's encouragement, the bride arrived unusually early. Before I could open the door and enter, the soothing piano music was abruptly cut off. A spoiled, shrill voice echoed through the hall, audible even through the door. Julian, if you dare marry someone else, I'll make sure you never find me again. The makeup artist and staff helping me adjust my wedding dress beside me struggled to suppress their astonishment at the dramatic turn of events. I was also quite surprised. I had expected the ceremony to go through most of the formalities before the dramatic exchange of rings. Ignoring the whispers behind me, I waited patiently. After a moment, the door suddenly opened, and the female lead emerged. Let Julian choose. She glared at me fiercely before running out. Julian followed closely behind. The guests were in an uproar, chaos ensued. I turned around and smelled the bitter scent of tobacco. Logan extended his hand, you can't be Zhang's second wife now. Give up, or if you don't want to be a laughingstock, come with me. His tone wasn't exactly friendly, his face dark, trying hard to act indifferent. But his tightly pursed lips betrayed his tension. I looked at him carefully and intently. My gaze traced every inch of his face. Logan, I've followed you too far. But I can't. After I die, everyone's memories will be erased and repaired by the system. No one will know we ever loved each other. Including Logan. To him, I was just a stranger with no connection to him. Sorry, I have to go find Julian. The palms of my hands, clutching the hem of my skirt, slowly closed. I took a deep breath and, under his lifeless gaze, took off my high heels and tore off the long veil. With calmness and peace, I ran toward the predetermined ending that had been set for me.